Good morning, everyone. I'm Ben Parsons with RE/MAX Property Pros, and I sell real estate in the northern Wisconsin counties of Oneida, Lincoln, Vilas, Price, and Forest. And this morning, before I came into the office, I stopped in at the WHDG Hodag Country Studios, spent about 10-15 minutes with Mike Mahalik this morning, just talking about what's going on in real estate and a brand new listing. So if you've missed that show, you can listen in here.
And we are joined now by Ben Parsons, Ben the man for land, as we do once a month, talk about real estate, listings, and some other things that are going to be rather interesting today. Good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, Mike.
Can you believe these temperatures today?
No, I can't. I'm looking through the forecast the week to come. The snow is not going to last.
No, it's not, especially today. In fact, in half an hour, the snowmobile trails here in Oneida County are going to close again. Yeah. And we could be in record territory today. I mean, our record was set back in 1935. Of 61, and they're forecasting 63.
Oh, wow.
So this is, I don't know, my calendar says the beginning of March.
Well, even though it's going to get that warm today, anyone that's on the road right now, be very, very careful because it's still cold. And anything that was wet last night is frozen. Yeah. Actually slid quite a bit. I live out by the Hodag Festival grounds.
Okay.
And on my way into the studio this morning, there were several spots that were just glazed ice. So be careful out there driving.
Okay, very good advice. Alrighty, we've got some things to talk about here this morning, and we always talk about listings and things, and we have talked about houses and acreages and stuff like that, but you've got some pretty unique lots that are coming up right now.
Very unique lots. We just put them on the market over the weekend. It's lots 9 and 10 on Pfeiffer Road. These are not on Lake Mohoxen or Mohoxen Lake there in Tomahawk. So the way to get to them is if you head through Tomahawk, like you're going to hop on 86 and go towards Timms Hill and that area. For Mohoxen Point. And at that sign, it turns into Pfeiffer Road. So you take that all the way to the cul-de-sac, and these are the first and second lots on the right facing the lake as you get to the cul-de-sac.
Wow. And the thing that's interesting, we were talking about before we hit the air here, you've got the view of the water and everything else without the cost.
Right. So this community, this Mohoxen Point community, there's actually a 20-foot wide path that goes from the cul-de-sac all the way down to the water. There's a community, it's not public, it's a community dock for the residents of Mohoxen Point. And this pier goes way out to the big water, and there's some dock slips out there that once the water opens up, the community to put that back together. Each lot has a slip, and there's also a little strip that goes from that pier that wraps around to like lot 11. So these two lots, they are not waterfront lots. But there's a thin little strip of that community property there that keeps you from paying waterfront taxes. So you're going to get all the view. You've got the access right there beside lot 9. You've got all the benefits of having waterfront property without the taxes.
That's a tough thing to have.
It is. And, they're priced accordingly. Each lot is priced at $79. So if someone says, you know what, I just want one of those, you're looking at a price tag of $79,000. But if they're looking to buy them both, the seller would really like to see both of them go at the same time.
Sure.
So they have deeply discounted that twofer price to $139.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh. Any size to these, or just like a regular lot size, or?
So both of them together are 1.73 acres. So
that's a perfect size.
Yeah, it's perfect size for building for both of them. Get a heck of a discount. And, if these lots were actually on water, they would be a lot more.
Oh, heavens, yes. Heavens, yes. We are going to talk about a little bit more about some other things. In fact, with a community like that, is there an homeowners group with that?
So there's not an HOA, and that's where a lot of people get confused, is there are covenants and restrictions, but there's not an HOA. And there's a big difference between those two things.
Okay, and we'll talk about that when we come back. 7:37 here in the Morning Hodag, along with Ben Parsons, talking about a couple of lots out on Mohoxen near Tomahawk that are absolutely gorgeous. Have you got pictures of those on your website, I hope?
I do, actually, on all over the social media. We've got our pictures, and of course, if anyone looks up the MLS lots 9 and 10 on Pfeiffer Road. You're going to see all the pictures there.
There you go. I mean, I just saw that one that you showed there, and that it looked pretty good. We just touched a little bit on HOAs, which are homeowners associations, and kind of a double-edged sword. You see the good points of them, you see the bad points of them, and talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so an HOA, and we actually have very few areas up here in the Northwoods that have an HOA, a homeowners association. Right. And that's where you get into a lot of the little nitpicky rules about when you can set your trash cans out, what color you can paint your house, when to mow the grass, whether or not you can have a dog in the yard, what your fence is going to look like. You know, my kids, they during the school year, they live out in Colorado. You drive around all those neighborhoods out there, and everyone's backyard fence is the same. Everyone's home is the same color palette. You know, so they obviously have an HOA, right, and you pay into that, and some people are fined for not following those HOA rules. We see all kinds of videos on social media about, you know, the Karens, so to speak, that are the head of the HOA and just kind of being a pain in the rear. We have very few of those up here. Now, what we do have a lot of are covenants and restrictions. So this is kind of to let buyers know that when you purchase this lot, your house must be over a certain square footage. It can't be, you know, an old tar paper shack. Some will allow a camper to be used during construction, but permanent camping may not be allowed. Right. So that's what a covenant is and a restriction is, and there's no additional charge with that, but an HOA there is.
Now, I remember just maybe it was about a month or so ago, I remember a national news story about an Army veteran that his flagpole was too high, and the American flag, they made him take it down. He took it to court. He won. But it was a big, long, ugly battle. I know that where my mom's place is up in Minocqua, or Woodruff, has a pretty active one. I know where I am, just north of town here, it's a lake association similar to that. And what that is just basically the taxes and the beach frontage, because we have a private beach and landing out there that we maintain.
Right.
And that's a very good perk for being back where we are.
Right. Well, and then you could take that a step further. Another thing we have up here are a lot of condos, a lot of vacation condos and things. And condos typically have fees also. Now, that's different. That's to help support the common elements for the condo village there. So things like a fire pit area, volleyball court, beach, you know, the boat slips, things like that. So when you're looking at the difference between a covenant and restriction, an HOA, a condo fee, it really does apply to a specific type of property. And they do protect the value of your property and your home there, because you know, I'm not going to judge anybody for wanting to be a collector of things. All right. I think it's a nice way of saying,
I think you're right.
But not going to judge anybody for that. But at the same time, you don't want to go spend your life savings on your dream home. And, you know, you got a $500,000 $1 million lake home, and then your neighbor right next door, it kind of looks like a junkyard. So that's where these rules come into play.
And it's interesting too, because an HOA, I know I can speak again for my mom's place there, that you mentioned, and I think you hit the nail right on the head with the added value, because your lawn mowing is done, the snow plowing is done. If all of a sudden roofs need attention, that's paid for by all this money collected through these HOA fees.
Yeah. And condos especially, you know, the condo fees really go into maintaining those common elements for sure.
Alrighty, where can people learn more information about what you do, and especially those two lots, which look fantastic?
You know, everything that I've got is on my social media page. So if people search for Ben the Man for Land on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, even LinkedIn, I think we're out there on that. And then, of course, the website, benthemanforland.com. Or they can give me a call at 715-550-5683. And if I don't answer right away, leave a voice message or feel free to send a text.
There you go. Ben Parsons, thank you very much. Good to see you as always.
Yeah, great to be here.
Thanks for tuning in to that interview that we did on Hodag Country this morning with Mike Mahalik. Mike, thank you for your time this morning. And if you want to know what's going on in the real estate world, just stay tuned right here with Ben the Man for Land and RE/MAX Property Pros.